Wow, I wish I smiled like her. She's only 16 years old and already making a difference in our world. What am I doing with my life? 418 likes, not too bad. Do they really deserve a like in that post? Welcome to the internal monologue of a typical social media role. A monologue that so many of us have every day, but we tend to not think or talk much about. In fact, many of us won't even recognize it's happening. Written by Pauline Vardamesh in the article, The Impact of Social Media on Mental Health, she states, of 7.5 billion people on the planet, 4 billion use the social media. About 3.3 billion individuals are active social media users. Today I will be talking about the consequences social media has on your mental health and the 4 common stressors of social media. For my student survey, I was able to conclude that every single person in this room uses social media, but you guys are not alone. In a recent study done by Shreem Bagroy, Panagaram Kumagaru, and Manam Dichandaru, they were able to conclude that over 90% of the college students attending that university use social media. In the article, Social Media Based of Mental Well-Being in College Campuses, the Center of Human Factors in Computing Systems found the top 3 diagnoses at college campuses were anxiety, depression, and stress, which were all linked to a high social media usage. This is not the only study that was found with the same information. Researchers like Ariel Shana and Felicia Sharon were also just 2 of the many researchers who were able to back up this information. In the next survey, in the same article, The Impact of Social Media and Mental Health by Pauline, she is able to summarize that there are over 700 million Instagram users, 2 billion daily active Facebook users, and 255 million Snapchat users. She quotes, "The excessive usage of social media has become a growing phenomenon and controversial issue. People have become addicted in the various social media platforms." In my student survey, you were asked to answer which social media platform you asked the most. 13 out of 17 used Snapchat the most, and 1 reply for each Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Reddit. My third question on my survey I asked was, how many hours a day do you spend on social media? Almost over 50% of you replied that you spend 1 to 2 hours on social media. 4 replied that they spend 3 to 4 hours on social media, and 2 replied that they spend 4 or more hours, leaving with 3 who spend less than an hour. In the article, So Much Social Media, So Little Time, by Elizabeth Brooks, she states on average that we spend 2 hours a day on social media. 70% of the Canadian population uses social media. Anything we do that involves this much time is worth researching, and it's bound to leave us lasting effects on our mental health. So let me inform you about the 4 of the most common stressors on social media. The first one being highlight reel. Just like in sports, a highlight reel and captures your most important and best highlights. Social media is just like that. It highlights, we post when we do our wins, when we look best, when we're with friends or family. And because of this, comparison is becoming a common negative feeling. In the article, Social Media, a Highlight Reel That Is Destroying Our Kids, by Marty Barron, she goes further to state, such comparisons may occur frequently with social media use because users tend to excessively represent positive life developments, portraying themselves to be happier than they actually are. A prime example of this would be, for example, you see this on Instagram. You're telling yourself how you wish you were on the beach and why you weren't able to go on one. When in reality, that's what is reality. What social media fails to show us is that how everyone else's life is just as imperfect as our own. It doesn't show our arguments when your neighbors lose his or her jobs. Frequently times you will see these posts, but it's not very common. People want to see your highlights, and in fact, when your highlights do so well, it leads me to my second most common stressor of social media, which is social currency. In social media, the likes, the comments, the shares is the form of social media currency by which we give value to something. In the article, The Age of the Attention Economy Fueled by Social Media Addiction, Delphina Frostman defines it as the attention economy, which he states, it describes the supply and demand of a person's attention. The problem is that when we let people give them the value by how many numbers of likes we receive, how many comments we get. We let that value our own identity. You might know someone, or you might be the one who has taken down your Instagram post or a different type of post because it didn't receive the amount of likes you wanted to. I myself can say I have been guilty of this. By doing this, we are letting others in charge of our own self-worth for the amount of likes or the amount of shares we did or did not receive. Harassment goes further to state, the success behind social media apps is that they are so addicting. Every time we get a ping, a notification, or a like, it feeds onto our addiction. Moving on to the third stressor of social media is Fomo, or the fear of missing out. I'm sure we've all heard the phrase plenty of times, but do we really know what it means? Scared to Stay In, The Psychology of FOMO by Artie Guapa defines it as, FOMO is anxiety or motivation social media users feel when they want to belong to some group, some event, or even a moment that they feel they are being left out of. In the same article, our research was done to volunteer participants who were asked to record daily moments of when they felt they were feeling left out of social media. And the majority of them replied when it was at work or when they were doing homework and towards the weekend. And lastly, the fourth social media And lastly, the fourth stretcher, which is online harassment. Posted on Pew Research Center, roughly 4 in 10 Americans have experienced online harassment. In the same article, it finds that 41% of Americans have personally experienced some form of online harassment and at least one of the ways that are measured. Shown here is the graph of the 6 different types of harassment. The first being racial, I can't read it, it's very, very blurry. But that is the graph taken from 2017 of a survey. From the People survey, they claimed that politics was the #1 reason for which they were harassed. Other reasons being for their gender, their racial or ethnic background as reasons why they were harassed. Social media is a tool that can be used for good, for more positive or negative if you let it. The question remains the same. Is social media affecting your mental health? In the 24 hours of your day, are you spending the 2 hours that the average American spends on social media for the good, positivity, motivation, laughs, and for spreading kindness, or are you letting it affect your mental health? Today, I hope I informed you with information needed to share with you the effects of social media and the effect it has on your mental health. Thank you for listening.